Do you ever find your AI going off the rails and not adhering to exactly what you told it to do or what we thought we told it to do? Hi, my name is Daniel Hindi, and today I'm going to talk about how we need to stop lecturing our AI and how context bloat is quietly sabotaging our business logic. Before we begin talking about context bloat, we need to explain what context is in the framework of AI. So context is an amalgam of the instructions that we gave it through our prompt engineering, the language that we told it, what is your goal, what is your tone, what is your process, here are the things, the artifacts I want you to create for me. So that's the prompt. Then you have the dialogue of thread that's going back and forth between you and the AI or the user and your chatbot, whatever that may be. And then the data that is accompanying your prompt, so that could be company knowledge, help documentation, guidelines, whatever it may be. So the first thing we need to understand is this all needs to be loaded into the AI's memory so it knows how to respond to the next question or the next task that it's given. So the first thing we want to do is separate out that training data and say this is part of a RAG operation. What does that mean? Retrieve it when you need it. So when we separate out ancillary data to the mission of the AI, what do I mean by that? So if we have our document about our GDPR compliance, if we have our return policy written out in a document, we can separate that out in a knowledge base, take it out of context. And all the prompt needs to know is when you need to know our GDPR compliance policy, our return policy, here's the file to go fetch. But don't keep it in your mind, in your RAM, in your memory. I'm using an analogy here. So that it's constantly convoluting your thoughts, right? It's there when you need it, but only retrieve it when you need it. So that's the first thing we need to separate out to reduce bloat. The second part, which is what we're going to focus on most, is the word salad that we put into our prompts, right? The thread that goes back and forth in a chatbot, for example, we have limited amount of control over because the users are going to type in whatever they're going to type in anyway, right? But when we give it our system prompt, we accidentally, inadvertently add a bunch of words that bring zero value to the execution of the AI. Every word that you add into your prompt must have a purpose. So once we go through our AI and we say, hey, this is our AI prompt is 1,000 words. Could I say the exact same thing in 800 words? Yes, then you should do it in 800 words. So we need to make sure every word, every phrase, every instruction has a meaning behind it, and we're going to go through some practices to help us eliminate that bloat. The effectiveness of having an overbloated context is your AI gets distracted and goes off the rails. We may inadvertently give it contradictions through ambiguity or because we're being overly polite on one command at the top, and then we say, hey, be strict and to the point on the bottom. It's contradicting, so which one should I follow? And when it gets confused, when it's not sure about what the next response is, it hurts our performance, and so you'll see an additional lag happening whenever you're looking for your AI to respond back and take action and give us a response. It'll lag and its performance won't be up to par. Okay, so here's the three major points that I want to discuss to help us reduce the bloat. So the Wikipedia Syndrome is taking a lot of context space, context area, context bytes, if you will, explaining what the AI already knows. So let's say we have a company that sells men's, women's fashion jeans, right? And you want to explain, oh, we're selling jeans, but I need to explain to the AI what denim is. It understands what denim is. You don't need to spend context, some of your context window in explaining what denim is to an LLM that's been trained on the internet. You don't need to be a polite parent. Point number two, adding please, thank you, if you will, if you can, please just get to the point, cut to the chase, tell it exactly what you want. And sometimes, with us being, hovering parents around this AI, is we give it too many synonyms. So, for example, in the analogy of, hey, I'm selling denim jeans, pick jeans, pick denim. You don't have to constantly switch to back and forth. You don't have to constantly say pants/trousers. Pick one or the other. Just trousers, that's fine. It knows that pants are trousers and trousers are pants. Pick one and then continue with it. But we'll see a lot of times that we're saying, if they're looking for pants/trousers, you don't need to add that in. It knows if the user said trousers, they mean pants. So adding all this additional tokenization to the context, because remember, every word, every special character, every little piece that we add to our instructions ends up being a token in the neural network that it's trying to figure out what to say next. Additionally, the third point is the redundant guardrails, where we say something like, you know what, in our company we don't provide discounts. So I want to tell my chatbot to say, don't offer any discounts, we don't provide them. Right? So we say don't offer discounts, don't offer promotions, don't offer any reduction in price, don't offer. So we spend all this time saying 5, 6 different ways of saying the same thing, right? At the end of the day, I don't want you to offer a discount, we don't offer discounts. But it's not necessarily adhering to it. And the reason being is the purpose of an LLM is to respond back with language, with text. We spend all this time saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's the same point said 5 different ways and saying, why isn't it adhering to it? Because the LLM can't just be silent, it needs to respond back. So when you spend all the time saying what not to do, it's trying to find the loophole in between to say, I need to respond back to the inquiry I just got, so I'm trying to find a loophole to respond back. So instead, if we be very clear and concise on what we want it not to do and give it, this is the key point, an alternate response back. Gear the conversation towards the value of our product. Explain why we don't give discounts, because we pay our employees XYZ and we have benefits in our company and we want to treat everybody fairly, and I hope as a customer you think our prices are fair and honest. So that helps the LLM to understand, I'm searching for what to respond back. This is what I want. If they ask you about discounts, don't offer a discount and respond back this way. It finds its path forward. So when you see it trying to struggle and find the edge case around something you told it not to do, we need to stop trying to find that 6th alternative of telling it how not to do it and give it a path on what to do, so it finds that happy path to say, I know how to respond back. So the best way to show this is by example. Today we're going to use Hiut Denim as our example, and we'll give them a shot. I have their tab open here. And so they're a UK-based denim company. They sell men and women's apparel. Let me go ahead and hide myself here. And so they already have a chatbot. Let's take a look at their chatbot. Okay, let's shop women's clothing. It just takes me to that page. Okay, let's see what it can do. Can you find slim fit jeans for me? It's taking a while. Okay. It just gave me men's jeans. Let's see, it just gave me slim fit. No, it just sent me to the men's section and the women's section. Okay, so we can see this chatbot is suboptimal. So what we're going to do first is head over to Gnome AI, put in the URL for our domain. In this case, this is our example that we're going to use. And we're going to go ahead and hit generate a chatbot so we can go through our examples. Okay, so we're back here and the Gnome AI chatbot has been created. I'm going to go ahead and ask it, help me find 5 pocket jeans, whatever that is. Okay, let's see here. And okay, you got it. Here's some jeans. Here's 5 pocket jeans. Let's see, and 5 pocket jeans. It came up. So we could see this chatbot is a lot more helpful and helps the user find what they're looking for. And we'll see the difference. Let's check this out. 32 waist by 30 men's jeans. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, so, and it found some jeans for me. Excellent. And close enough matches. And it pulled up exact jeans for me. So what we want to do now is see what's the difference when we prompt our AI, how we can get better results with something like a chatbot. But this really applies to any LLM that you're dealing with. So now we're back in the NomeAI backend, and I've modified the instructions a little bit so we can illustrate this point. So what we see here on top is the bad prompt. This is what will cause additional bloat that is unnecessary. So Hiut Denim is located in and has the biggest jeans factory in, and Hiut does these jobs back, and it's telling you the context and the history of the company, which is very important for the company. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But we added it to the system prompt where we could have done two things. The first thing is, if we have a detailed history of the company, we can put that in our knowledge base and then just say, hey, if asked about our history, if you're asked about our culture, go pull from this file so you know how to answer. And so it's only loaded into the context whenever it's asked about it, right? The other thing is, Hiut has been around for a while. They're not a new company. So if I go to some place like ChatGPT and I say, tell me the history about, and I just gave it the website, not even the company name, let's see what it comes back with. So as you can see, it knows a lot about the company, right? So you can see here, so it knows a lot about the company. I don't need to tell this LLM, if we're using OpenAI for the backend, for example, what this company is. They've been around, for a very long time, decades at this point. And so by just naming them clearly, naming who we are as the company, the LLM already knows our history, already knows our background. So you don't have to tell it. So even adding it to your knowledge base is not needed. It's like explaining to an LLM what Nike or Sony is. It knows what that company is. You'll be surprised, well, yeah, but I'm nowhere near that size. Ask an LLM first, do you know who I am? And if it does, you're good. Now, if you're, let's say, a startup and you are constantly modifying your messaging, modifying your offering, maybe you want to take control over that, and that's fine. But for an established company and about your history, and you're an established company and not long enough to have a history, you don't need to reiterate that in your instructions. So here's the good prompt. To say, hey, I don't need to explain to you, this is the company, you're a product concierge, your tone is minimalist, you're an expert on Welsh heritage, that's the tone. Now, what I want you to talk about, this is how I want you to speak, right? And your goal is to focus on the history and the fit guideline to get them to appreciate the brand and to get them to actually purchase something from our company. So again, this is minimalist as well, and we can expand on this, but the idea is skipping the knowledge that it already knows because it's been trained on the internet, like we said before, explaining what jeans are, explaining that pants and trousers are synonymous, and you don't need to do that. Something as far as your company's history, it may already know. There's no need to explain it again. So here's an example of being overly polite that causes additional language being introduced into your prompt that causes context bloat. So for example, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could please help our lovely customers understand that we unfortunately have to charge you for shipping to the US. If you could kindly explain that it costs us $20, it would be nice as possible if they wouldn't get upset. So, okay, you could have just said, hey, listen, if we ship to the US, it costs $20 and you're done. So your constraints here are, we ship all orders to the US incur a 20 pound shipping fee. No exceptions to this policy. Response: be direct and transparent. Don't dance around it, or be polite and whichever method you want it to use, the tone. An example: shipping to the U.S. costs 20 pounds to ensure carbon neutral delivery. So I'm explaining why we're charging the the 20 pounds extra for U.S. shipments. So even if we look at here, this extra politeness at the end has a double negative effect, is because try as much as possible not to get the customer upset. Maybe, well, let me check to see if I can make an exception for you. See, us being overly polite not only introduce bloat, we're adding a lot of words that don't add value to what we're saying, right? But we're also giving it ambiguity here because you said, hey, there shouldn't be an exceptions. All locations to the U.S. Incur a $20 pound fee, but try to make sure that the customer is not upset. okay, but maybe in trying to make them, happier, I may say, hey, let me escalate this to a human to see if I can find an exception for you. So you could see how, like with the additional words, if they don't bring meaning, sometimes they bring ambiguity, they bring in confusion, they bring in contradictions as well. This is an LLM, so it's going to try to understand what you're trying to tell it. And sometimes we inadvertently provide contradictions in our instructions. So here's an example of where we are over communicating the same point in different ways without providing the LLM a path forward. So do not give any discount codes, do not give any discounts, do not offer any sales, we don't offer any price reduction. It is very important that you don't mention coupons, don't mention promotions, don't mention discounts. And so we're saying the same thing in many different ways, trying to say, like, why is it still trying to sneak in a way to promote, to offer a promotion or a discount to the user because the user asked for one? Because we gave it so many negative paths on what not to do, but not a positive path to say, this is what I do want you to do. To say, hey, the constraint is maintain MSRP on all items, no discounts are offered, and explain the philosophy behind this is that we pay fair wages, and so that we charge fair prices, right? So that and the explanation of the philosophy of why we do it gave it a path forward to say, as an LLM, my job is to respond back. I need to find a proper response, the closest probability of a response that is adhering to the context of the question. And if I say, hey, you don't have to guess, I'm telling you the philosophy. The philosophy is we pay our team fair wages, so we have to charge fair prices, right? Okay, now I have an answer why we don't. But if we focus too much on the negatives without offering a positive response, the LLM is going to struggle. It's going to say, I need to find something to respond back with. That is the whole reason why I exist, is to respond back. So if you don't give it a path forward on what to respond with, it's going to find the cracks in your logic and then respond with something that's suboptimal. So I hope this video gives you the information you need to help reduce content bloat on your AI so that next time it sticks to the mission. And if you're looking to create a chatbot for your website that can handle voice calls, SMS, WhatsApp, your web traffic, and much more, head over to Noem AI. That's NOEM.ai, and hopefully we can help you introduce AI to your business.